So I have a very hip tip for your grip, darling. We're going to talk about twisted grip today. This one is a grip that is very, very complicated. A lot of pole instructors will say, don't even do this grip. However, I find it to be very helpful, and I think that if we build up the shoulder and the muscles and our technique and awareness in the right way, we can get our shoulders strong enough to be able to support ourselves without injury in these movements. Shoulder injuries are the most common thing with the twisted grip. So let's go over some things here to mitigate that. As I said earlier, we want to make sure we're starting our pole journey and building up our muscles with our true grip, with our cup grip, other grips before we get into twisted grip. Just because it is more compromising on that shoulder joint, we need to make sure we're setting it up and that we've got the proper strength to secure the shoulder in this position. What is that twisted grip? A lot of people will set it up just like this. Well, they'll twist and they'll drop it down and they'll kind of twist it and then they're here. And so this is, for example, if we were going into, for example, a handspring, we could kick up from here. There's also, you'll see it here for different ballerina spins or baby ballerina spins, different flares, different phoenixes. Especially as we advance in pole, we start to utilize that twisted grip and it becomes very helpful for us. And if we have the proper setup and shoulder stability, it's very safe and it's very secure. We want to just make sure that we're setting it up the correct way. I recommend setting it up first and foremost by setting up our torso and our shoulders within integrity. This is what we want to maintain. When we're twisting around our arms, those shoulders are more apt to get loosey-goosey. So we want to anchor those shoulders. From here, I'm going to take my inside arm up high, keeping those shoulders in integrity. From here, I'm going to float my hips forward and reach for that bottom arm. I'm now in my twisted grip. My chest is oriented towards the sky. I want to open my chest, pull my chest towards the sky, and my bottom arm is stacked and supported. I have an open palm, index finger is down, I've got my other fingers wrapped, and my elbow is soft and stacked. From there, I'm going to open up in my chest. The first thing is to stabilize from here. If you want to start conditioning this, I'm going to take my feet out. Just stabilize that with maintaining that integrity on the bottom elbow. No hyperextension. Be very careful and keep that torso nice and open. You're going to take one leg up. I can extend through that leg, and I can also try little hops and tucks. The biggest place that I find injury occurs with twisted grips, especially with twisted grip handsprings, is on the takeoff up in the air on the way up to the top. What I mean by that is a lot of the times you will see people set up and they're oriented towards the floor with a shoulder collapse. This shoulder is not engaged at all. We're pushing in that bottom arm. But when they kick up, they're engaging their shoulders on the way up to their positioning. And maybe their shoulders aren't even fully engaged by the time their hips are up overhead. So we need to make sure that we're fully engaging our shoulders, getting our hips up overhead. I'm going to engage those shoulders as much as possible from the floor so that they don't have to move or re-engage in the air. Because this movement in the air as our weight is moving is where we get injured. So we're going to set that up, anchor in, make sure my shoulders are healthy. From there, I can go up, no problem. Woo! Same things apply when we're lifted up in our torso right side up. I want to make sure that we're held up open in those shoulders, and I'm going to let myself lean my shoulders and open my shoulders to the side to open up that shoulder. So we're doing different things like ballerinas, etc. Think about opening up the torso to get a more supported grip on that top arm. So with our twisted grip, it's so important that our shoulders are engaged properly and warmed up. Something that I recommend are different layers of shoulder engagements, making sure those shoulders are engaged. We can do circles forward and back, making sure those palms are oriented in different positions. Also, that palm up is really good for that. Pushing up and down, pushing those arms forward and back, doing so many sets of these. A really good one for this, notice when we use our twisted grip, I am using a twist not only in my wrist and in my arm, but I've also got my shoulders that are going to be doing more work as well with the full twisted grip. So notice that difference in your body between just your wrist, just your elbow and wrist, that full arm and shoulder, and how you're able to get so much more range of motion. And again, we want to focus on those shoulders anchoring down our back. We can also stretch this out by going into that position, keeping that shoulder engagement here and here, and just thinking about letting that torso come up and back a little bit more, and letting that back arch a little bit. We can sink into that. So yes, when we do twisted grip, it is a lot of flexibility in our shoulder. And as you get more flexible in your rotation and in your shoulder mobility, it's going to get easier. But we want to make sure that our shoulders are strong enough to maintain that integrity. As long as we're understanding what that feels like for us, twisted grip isn't going to be something that we need to be scared of. So again, build up to it, go nice and slow, slowly start testing your weight into it, making sure it's all engaged where it should be. Let us know how these grips go, and thanks for being hip to the grip.